Here are the parts of the machine. The fence, the table work surface area, the on-off switch, the cleaning brush, the miter scale shows the miter angle at which the saw will cut. We want to make sure that this is set to 0 for making 90-degree crosscuts. The handle is what you'll grab and use to pull the saw through our workpiece and push it back. You must use your left hand. The bevel scale shows the bevel angle at which the saw will cut. We want to make sure that this is set to 0 for making a 90-degree cut. While the blade is still moving, make sure to keep your hands and body out of the danger zone. Always make sure your scrap piece is at least 12 inches or a foot long in order to minimize waste. This can be seen by the blue mark on the left-hand side of the fence and table. Before you get ready to make a cut, make sure your table is free and clear of scraps, tools, and sawdust. Sawdust can affect the accuracy of our cuts. This can happen by raising our face of our board higher and creating a bevel cut as seen here, or by keeping the edge away from the fence, creating a small miter cut as seen here. If you find your table or work surface has dust or debris on it, grab the cleaning brush and brush it off, making sure to pay close attention to the corner where the fence and the table meet. Also, remove any scraps or tools before you make your cut. In order to measure and mark the board for the size piece you need, you are going to need a measuring tool like the tape measure, a tool to mark a square line like the square, speed square, or a combination square, which is not here, and a pencil. We need to prepare our board for cutting it down to rough length and a more manageable size piece. We are going to take the tape measure and measure out the size piece we need and add 1 inch to that length. This is what gives us room so we can cut the final piece needed out of the board after we square it up. If you are going to be cutting out multiple pieces later, for every additional piece beyond 2, add 1/4 inch for safety so you know you have enough material to cut each piece out. So if I'm cutting 3 pieces, I'm going to add 1 1/4 inches. If I'm cutting 4 pieces, I'm going to add 1.5 inches. Once you have a mark on your board for the rough length needed, grab a square and line it up to the mark, keeping your square to the good side piece as shown. Drag your pencil along the edge of the square so you can transfer the mark from edge to edge of your board as shown. Place an X to the scrap waste side so you know which piece you need so you can line up your cut correctly. Remove or fasten loose articles of clothing such as long sleeves, coats, neckties, as well as your long hair. Do not wear gloves. Remove all jewelry such as rings and bracelets and necklaces. Wear industrial quality eye protection and ear protectors. Keep your workspace around the saw free from scraps, sawdust, and oils or grease. When setting up your work, check the saw blade to make sure it is the correct type for the cut you are making and for missing teeth and cracks. Make sure the blade is properly mounted. Guard should be in place and used at all times. Check the stock for nails, screws, and loose knots before sawing, as well as defects which can cause your cuts to be dangerous. Do not saw stock shorter than 12 inches. Do not operate the saw without permission from the instructor. Be sure all clamps and locking handles are properly tightened before operating the radial arm saw. Devote your undivided attention to the work being performed. Do not talk to others or be engaged in horseplay while using the radial arm saw. Avoid awkward positions that could result in slips which may cause contact with the saw blade. Establish a comfortable position prior to sawing. Be sure material is held firmly against the guide fence and table before starting a cut. Support long pieces of stock. Always stand with your face and body to one side of the saw blade. With this saw, you'll need to be on the right hand side and use your left hand. Allow the saw to reach full speed before starting a cut. Always pull through the stock slowly to ensure full control. This saw tends to pull itself into the work and may have to be held back in thick stock. The radial arm saw should have a safety spring device which automatically returns the saw to the rear of the table. However, after your cut is complete, make sure you return the saw to the rear of the table before removing stock. Always turn power off and wait until the saw stops completely before removing scraps or leaving the radial arm saw. After the power is cut off, do not stop the blade by allowing it to cut further into the board or forcing an object into the blade. Now make sure your dust collector is on and your blast gate is opened. Now we want to line up our board with the saw blade so that way we cut off the right piece. So we want to make sure that our waste piece is on the right side of the line. So we can check this by moving our board one side or the other and making sure that the X side is on the same side as the blade. As you can see here, the blade is on the opposite side of the X, cutting off our good side. We want to make sure that we move that over so that way the blade is on the opposite side of the line, so we're cutting into the waste side, not your good piece. Otherwise, you're going to cut off an extra 1/8 of an inch and your piece is going to be too short. You always want to support the material that overhangs the table. If it is at least double the size of the table edge to the saw kerf mark, so it will not tip up into the blade or fall off the table as you complete your cut. The longest end should always be to the right, even if it is your waste piece. Just make sure to line up the saw blade correctly as mentioned before. Before turning the saw on, you want to make sure the saw is all the way back and that you have control of either the board or the saw and turn it on with your free hand. You'll see I prefer to hold my piece and turn the saw on with my left hand and then grab the handle and make my cut. After making your cut, return the saw to its starting position and turn it off by bumping the on-off switch stop sign with your leg or knee. Now I'll show you what it should look like in full speed.